Bill Randall, 650, Dorothy S. Ma'am, the Axelwide and Peppermint Endurance Company in Bashful Johnny C., home of the grand old conglomeration, Fanny Hill University, and the bathtub of the South. It's 7:30.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Leftist lies and globalists, I'm pushing them back. From the saloon to the airwaves, I'm spitting it raw. Constitution's my compass, liberty's law. Big gods creeping, shadows on the land. Feds with the schemes trying to bind up my hands. But I'm the Sherpa, guiding through the storm. Red, white, and blue, yeah, freedom's reborn. They spin their tails, but I see through the haze. Media maggots, lost in the maze. I'm calling it out, no fear in my soul. This patriot's fire ain't losing control. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Freedom's calling. Leftist judges twisted, trying to steal our rights, but I'm locked and loaded, got them in my sights. From J6 to the border, they're selling us out. I'm screaming from the mountain, hear my rainbow shout. They mock the flag, but I'm holding it high. Stars and stripes forever under God's open sky. No globalist chains gonna cage this land. I'm the Sherpa with the truth in my hand. They push their agenda, but I'm breaking the mold. Their promises empty, their hearts ice cold. Chicago's bleeding, borders torn apart. I'm fighting for the people with the warrior's heart. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. I've walked the line, 41 years, badge on the grind, now I'm on the air. My voice like a blade, cutting through the lies that the traitors made. Hurricanes rage, but we're standing tall. Sheriffs of the Constitution answering the call. From the saloon to the heart of the fray, we're taking back America, no more delay. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Static, hear my voice resound. Conservative Sherpa, freedom's battleground. Berserk, Bobcat, Rose will never kneel. For God and country, this fight is real.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that's my standard intro. Welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I'm broadcasting from an actual free state in North Idaho. I happen to be this guy, and I have a banner. There's an app for that. I am your conservative Sherpa, and I am guiding you through the insidious maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, tyranny, and betrayal. Now, the funny thing is, not funny ha-ha, but funny weird, is that Today happens to be October the 7th, the year of our Lord 2025, and to everyone who was swimming like a fid in the waters of chaos, you've come to the right place. Now, I just have to tell you this. What you're going to hear for the next hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, consists of my opinion and my opinion only. I am doing the job that the American media maggots refuse to do. I am fundamentally changing America one leftist red diaper doper baby at a time. We don't water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversations. We are still serving stiff drinks right here in the saloon, along with fact, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, tradition, clarity, and common sense for people like you and me. So we talk about, let's see, politics, religion, crime, culture, race, sex, economics, science, law, everything. Nothing is out of bounds right here at the saloon, which is why I say at the beginning of the show, if you hear a poo-poo nasty or two during the content of this show, do not be surmised or surprised or any of that. Now, I'm streaming a whole bunch of places right now. Let's see if I can put that up on El Screeno. That's Illegal Invader for Screeno. Soon you're going to be able to find us on Spreaker, I believe, because Spreaker has said that it's going to be doing live audio only in the not too terribly distant future. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Rumble on X tonight, not on Twitch. Twitch decided to give me the high fickle finger of fate in the middle. Facebook, and also, of course, KLRN, Licky Robinson on KLRN. I'm backed up. I can feel it. I'm backed up on comments already. Damn it, Jim. Anyway, let's see who is here tonight that I can embarrass. Unpleasant Blind Guy is here. Jersey Joe is here. Mission Ready Men is here. The Phantom is here. Who have I missed? I don't think I've missed anybody yet. Anyway, BZ puts the fun in fundamental. If I were a Muslim, I would put the fun in fundamentalist. You know that well, I'm not, so don't even go there, BZ. Don't even go there at all. Hey, I got to tell you this before we start the show. As per normal, as I am normally want to, I start with, something like this. Oh, by the way, look, kids, look. My plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room has changed. It's fall. It's raining. Ooh, go with me. Ooh. Look how nice that is. A nice little roaring fire, some candles. Now, I'm not saying that you need to burn down a judge's house. Sometimes that just does it by itself. But look, I have a brand new, wondrous chat room. And you can jump into that chat room if you would only go to the SHR Media YouTube channel. Well, geez, how do I get there, BZ? Well, all you need to do is go to the SHR Media YouTube channel on YouTube. That's called YouTube. And make sure, please, if you do, subscribe. We got, I think, 637 people who have subscribed. And I checked before the show, unless, some other people have come and subscribed. And you can subscribe it too if you want. We would ask you, we beseech thee, if you would, hey, look out there in the floating ozone. Is that a subscription? Let me grab it. Oh, what is it? Grab. It's a subscription to the SHR Media YouTube channel, and you can do it. Let me also put this up. I don't know why I've been so bad about this. When you go to a YouTube channel and you see that bell, and people say, ring that bell. If you click on the bell, like it says right down below here, you get notified of our shows for free. There's no paywall. There's no money. If you want to see us on Rumble, for example, you're going to have to log in. You're going to have to create an account. Now, if you want to chat on the SHR Media YouTube channel, yeah, same thing pretty much. You're going to have to log in. You know, it's like, look, I've logged in. Look, it's a fat guy. He's on every Tuesday and Thursday. And that's me, and that's why I'm here. Now, the other thing I want to show you is, if I can pull this down. We will get to this in just a moment. I have some interesting things to show you before we get into the meat of the matter. And tonight I'm going to be talking about law enforcement and how they're really, really, really pissing me off. Because I was a cop for 41 years. And the things that I'm seeing these days, well, okay, they sicken me. I just have to say it out loud. But let's see, it's Tuesday. Last Friday night, because I didn't have a show on Thursday, our dog is not doing well. Basically, our dog is dying. Our dog, Jake, is going away. But he has good days and he has bad days. And we've taken him, he's to the point now where we literally, on a door, we have a drip for Jake. You know, like you normally see in a hospital, there's a little bag full of saline and some plastic cording and a needle. And you have to, he hates this part because we're doing this at home now. Initially, he had to be hydrated for an entire day, twice, 2 consecutive days. And it kind of brought him back. It kind of brought him around. And now, yesterday, and particularly today, he has perked up to the point where we took him to the lake. We haven't been to the lake. Jake Lake. We haven't been to the lake. And we like to go to Lake Hayden. And sometimes we go to Lake Ponderay. And this is at Lake Hayden. He went to the lake and walked around. And that's a stump that's been carved out. And we decided to, I hope you guys like my nails. I just did them, had Phil's done the other day. But Jake is having a great day. He's having an awesome day. So that's a wonderful thing. Let me catch up with comments if I can. Once I get my computer up next month, I might be able to do live stuff myself. Outstanding. Raining and cool here in Vermont as well. It came down like crazy night before last. I mean, really came down. And as Phantom points out, we got 637 subbies right now. Here's a new person. So welcome, new person, 04AMT from YouTube. So thanks for being here. Subscribed. So I'm glad to hear that you have, in fact, subscribed. Cosmic Bard is in the chat room. Dun, dun, dun. Wait a minute. Why am I doing that when, in fact, can I do it myself? Jesus, apparently not. Anyway, if everything went perfect, you wouldn't be here. Anyway, Cosmic Bard continues to ensure that as the lost wanderer, not all who wander are lost. So everyone is welcoming everybody else here in chat. You know, shake hands, 9mm at midnight, and come out fighting. So thanks for being here. This show, God, it's almost 8:15. I haven't even really hit any of my stories. And of course, I got a ton. of them. This show will be subject basically to the health of my dogger. Jake is 11 now. And if I went through the list of shit that he's been afflicted with over the years, there's no time to go through it right now. He's blind. He has seizures. He can't hear. He has arthritis. And He has no tail. His tail was completely removed when he was a little pup. We didn't get him. He's 11. We've only had him for 5 years. First, we fostered him because when he came to us, when the time comes, I'll show you the photos of how he came to us. He came to us with a huge shaved back, a massive injury. He's had about 3 surgeries since we've had him. He's had tumors. We've had to remove the tumors. He's blind in his right eye. He has a cataract in his left eye. You know, if he were a person, he'd be legally blind. He's a brave little son of a bitch. He's not real dog. He's kind of a weird dude. I'll explain that later on sometime. But anyway, the point is that my show will be subject in whatever time frame is involved as to how well he's doing. Now, Thursday, we got to go back and we got to take him in again. He was walking around today. I got to show you this again. This was awesome. He was walking around. Now, we held him and took him into the park near the lake, and he was walking around. So we got a ton of photographs of him. So the show is going to be subject to basically how well he does. And Phantom says, yep, he's fighting. Definitely. So, you know, when I have a show, it can be maybe an hour and a half. I might do 2 hours like a normal show. It's just going to depend. So I just want to let you know up front, things are going to fluctuate a little bit. But as I promised, because I can't help, you know, like last Friday night with Rick Robinson, I had to play some funny stuff because, you know, I need some funny stuff in my life. I need some humor as much as possible. And I found this. And this is just weird.
How do I start an F-16? The question's real. I stole an F-16. Flip the master, all the lights begin to feel. I stole an F-16. Set the fuel pump, start the number 2. I stole an F-16. Engines whining as the turbines chew. I stole an F-16. Turn the RER power on bright. I stole an F-16.
Sing a shanty.
Centered, the line set right. I stole an F-16. Oh, watch the gauges and the needles climb. I stole an F-16. Wait till 20, it will take its time. I stole an F-16. Throttle back down to idle mark. I stole an F-16. Jet breathes deep with a rumbling spark. I stole an F-16. Unlock the gate and push it free. I stole an F-16. The bird comes alive with a roar of glee. I stole an F-16. Roll out PRE, I'll power on bright. I stole an F-16. Horizon centered, the line set right. I stole an.
And wouldn't we all like to steal an F-16? I know I would, but wait. Direct from the government. Wait, oh, stop. This is Governor Kotex from Oregon, and time for her. If I turn the sound on. There we go. Back her up. Governor Kotex from Oregon, go.
Trump's latest social media post, Portland is not war ravaged. There's no insurrection, there's no threat to national security, and there's no need for military troops. Military service members should be dedicated to real emergencies. I thought I would take to the streets myself right here in downtown Portland. I'm standing just blocks away from the waterfront, overlooking the beautiful Willamette River. Portland City Hall, the federal courthouse, and dozens of shops and restaurants here in the central city. We do have challenges here in Portland, in Oregon, and across the country. The cost of living is too high. We need to build more housing that people can afford. And we need to always...
You can do the submarine crawl in the gutter, too, if you want.
Let's keep the focus on the real problems, not the made-up ones.
So thanks, Governor Kotex. Really appreciate that. That's Oregon for you, folks. Before we get into the meat of the matter, this is amusing. Now, I hope this harkens back to the Beatles for you, because this is Sergeant Pepper.
What's your name, soldier? What's your name, soldier? Tell me your name. What's your name, soldier? Yeah, you hear me? What's your name, soldier? What's your name, soldier?
Sergeant Pepper.
What's your name,
One
soldier?
more time.
What's your name, soldier? Tell me your name. What's your name, soldier? Yeah, you hear me? What's your name, soldier? What's your name, soldier?
Sergeant Pepper.
What's your name?
I could watch that all day. Now, sometimes there are videos that come along that you need to liven up your morning. That's one of them. The other one that I mentioned the other day is the one of the chick getting clocked and she falls down as she's trying to assault someone. That was a lot of fun. That makes my day. Also, let me stop this here a little bit. Have you ever had a really luxurious car? Like a Rolls Royce, like Ken McClinton from TECN. I would accuse him of getting a new Rolls Royce Phantom every year, and then he would discard it when the ashtrays got full. Well, people decide that when they get these really nice cars, they're going to make beautiful videos about them. So let's see this beautiful car as opposed to the beautiful car that you could get if you work for Border Patrol.
Kilo unit.
Rolls Royce.
Kilo unit.
Rolls Royce.
I'm sorry. I fucking love that one.
Kilo unit.
Rolls Royce.
Kilo unit.
We all need a kilo unit, or we need a Rolls Royce. I'm not sure which. Sometimes I'd take that unit over a Rolls Royce. Gosh, would you think, if I can find it, that it might be, oh, damn it, Jim. Now, how come I can't find it? See, before I got in here, I determined that I was going to have all of my things set up before I begin, and now I can't find it. Oh, wait. There it is. So there's more than just this. In other words, there's more. When I go into these, we're going to go into the original. So hang on one second. Let's wait for it.
The Bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago Death Toll Update, courtesy of Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
See, that's the old one. I can't find the new one. My computer went down because I lost power to the house for about 10 seconds about, 2 hours ago. And I've been trying to pull everything up and everything got turned around because who am I? I'm BZ. And how much does technology love me? That's right. Not at all. Anyway, HeyJackass.com, HeyJackass.com, illustrating Chicago values. Chicago, the city of big shoulders. So October to date, shot and killed 10, shot and wounded 37. Total shot 47, total homicides 12. Week in progress, October the 5th to October the 11th. Shot and killed 3, shot and wounded 14, total shot 17, total homicides 4. Year to date, shot and killed 296. Shot and wounded, 1,288. Total shot, 1,584. Total homicides, 354. So what that translates out to is that a person is shot every 4 hours and 14 minutes, and a person is murdered in Chicago every 18 hours and 55 minutes. And, and then...
The Bloviating Zeppelins, paycheckcash.com Chicago Death Toll Update, courtesy of Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
The ironic thing about that is that we suspected that Lori Lightfoot, there couldn't be anyone or anything worse than her. Funny thing is, it turns out, as a matter of fact, there is. Wait, she was the black female. Now you have a black male who hates blacks in Chicago named Brandon Johnson. Wow. How does Chicago luck out like that? I have more comments about that. Anyway, that was a cool tune. Let me catch up with comments if I could. Catchy tune. By the way, that's never going to get old. Mission Ren. Move on, BZ. Move on. If you can't say it, move on. Anyway, 07 to the people who have fallen and gotten injured. It was 1920, not too long ago. That's very true. However, let me add this to the stage. The Chicago death toll update. Just this past weekend, there were 7 killed and 26 wounded in weekend shootings all across Chicago. But now, aren't we told by Mayor Brandon Johnson and J.B. Jabba the Hutt Pritzker in Illinois that, well, no one needs to go to Chicago, to Illinois. We're a peaceful city. We're a lovely city. We honor its nature, its diversity, if we don't lay the bodies down. And here's another indicator that, you know what? It seems to me that Chicagoans aren't learning. Over 6,200 murders in Chicago in the last decade. So Breitbart, and the reason I like to go to Breitbart is because Google kills their traffic. And if I can promote Breitbart, I try to do it as much as I can. Also, a reminder to those of you who just tuned in, if during the course of the show you determine that you either missed an article or you didn't get the thrust of it, or you want to read the article in depth or see the video on my Rumble channel, give me a couple of hours after the show, and I put show links up in there, and you can see everything that I referred to. In other words, this is BZ bringing the receipts. Now, if you look below or right on the screen, homicides have varied. 2016, 764. 2020, 769. Basically, the top in 2021, 804. 2024, 573. 2025, 323. Now, not all the murders were from shootings, although the work that were done on homicides and in 23 and 24 shows the vast majority of those were homicides. Now, gun crime is terrible, of course. But we don't need to be told that a great deal of the homicides or the deaths due to gun crime are from suicides. If you don't provide the tool, then somebody will find a way to do the tool or fashion a new tool. Now, tonight, what do I have? Looks like I have, oh, shoot. Well, that's okay. That's all right. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, I'm not going to, delay it or anything like that. We're going to be talking about my primary topic for tonight, law enforcement. And I'm going to show you, even back in 2014, 2016, 2017, law enforcement was moving to this paradigm. And I have never, ever been so ashamed of law enforcement in my life as I am right now. We're going to take a break. I'm BZ. I'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Mission log. Entry. I mean, let's face it, who's even counting anymore? The Lost Wanderer is officially off course, chasing rogue rocket launches, fringe science, and things that probably violate causality. If it burns fuel, bends time, or makes scientists very uncomfortable, yeah, I'm probably going to talk about it. Every other Sunday on KLRN Radio, The Lost Wanderer, because space doesn't come with a roadmap, and honestly, I wouldn't follow if it did.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? You need to check out Mission Ready Men via Earl Big E Jackson on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. I am the aforementioned BZ, one large each. Thank you so kindly for watching live tonight on a ton of veritable places with our good friends on KLRN. They're not carrying me live right now, but they do my re-sizzle tomorrow night, which is Wednesday night, because Wednesday follows Tuesday. Oh, and also thank you for being in the chat room. Grandly appreciate it. So please to subscribe. Some people have just subscribed to the channel here. We have 637 subscribers to the SHR Media YouTube channel. And thanks to every one of them right there, because each subscription now, Sean gets them parsed out differently. Jersey Joe gets them parsed out differently. Earl gets them parsed out differently. Now, we all want different things when our subscriptions go up, but I generally get my choice of an arboreal animal, a porcelain Dalmatian, more cat food with a little extra spice and sizzle. I have been given the timing chain from a 1979 Peterbilt 359. It's winter time, so remember, fill up with blinker fluid. I get that, and or more vodka. By the way, if you're not drinking, there's something wrong with you, because that's how you enjoy the show. I wonder whose mug this is. I don't know. Anyway, Thanks to everybody for being here. And I told you tonight the basic thrust of the show is that doing shows like this is really difficult for me. I did this back, I did maybe 2 shows. I did one in late 2017, because if you recall, the riots were going on at the time. And back when I had my blog up and running full chat, so to speak, it harkened me back to a blog post that I made back on February 3rd of 2017. And I hope you didn't catch me with that word slip up, because I'm getting older. I always have a hell of a time pronouncing the word February. Anyway, the 3rd of 2017. So if you remember, right around that time, that's when the Berkeley, should I just give up and go home? Apparently so. Oh, speaking of giving up and going home, look, it's my pumpkin, Bert. Now, Bert has been with me every Halloween, every October since 2017. So I found Bert. This is the original Bert, back from the original SHR Media studio, and he will be here in the saloon all October. So as the result of the riots in Berkeley on the UC Berkeley campi in early February of 2017, one expected that there were going to be hundreds of arrests, right? 50 arrests, 30 arrests, 10 arrests, 5 arrests. How about 1 arrest? Now, news outlets, they weren't even asking at the time if there were any arrests. It was simply assumptive that there weren't going to be any because people in Berkeley deserved to riot. They're mentioning nothing about arrests. And how do I know there is only 1 arrest? Because during that time, I happened to telephone the Alameda County Jail, and there were other associated numbers involved. And I found out personally that there was a rushed bureaucrat who gave me that statistic back then in 2017, 1 arrest from the Berkeley riots. Anybody remember that? That was, and anybody remember Milo Yiannopoulos? Milo Yiannopoulos was a super tall, I think British gay guy who was speaking on various campuses. He predated Charlie Kirk, and he would go on campuses, and then the riots came. Now, they didn't want to hear about a young gay guy who happened to be conservative. So, of course, it was time to riot for that. So Campus Reform also found out that during that campus riot in 2017, that I think it was Campus Reform itself paid $6,000 for over 100 police officers to ensure their constitutional right to free speech, as well as Milo Yiannopoulos' safety. But this wasn't a thing. They didn't perform their jobs. So they had 1 arrest. Now, how do I know that? Because I wrote about it on my blog. Hundreds of protesters rioted, lighted fires, burned trees, property, smashed windows. And so that was a lot of fun to just stand by and watch and do nothing. Now, by the way, I want to remind everybody, because this goes back in time, and I'm laying some groundwork here. If you would, let me stop and go to comments. You don't look a day over 20, BZ. BZ, I remember your show from 2017. That's when I first started. 1 arrest. So that's how your local Bay Area law enforcement officers valued the property and the civil rights of taxpayers in the city of Berkeley and on the Berkeley campi. Janet Napolitano, I was about to start in on that. Janet Napolitano said in January of 2017 that she would continue to defy immigration laws by making the UC system sanctuary campi. Anybody remember that? I mean, that is hearkening back 8 years ago. So a lot of this crap that we're seeing now was aided and ably abetted by law enforcement and people even back then who were saying that these areas are federal law free. We get to pick and choose what federal laws that we are going to obey. And that was just fine. That was nifty for the longest time. And so free speech, anybody remember Sproul Hall from 1967, 1968, the Summer of Love in 1969, free speech on college campuses anymore? Yeah, not so much. Shirley, you jest, and please don't call me Shirley. It's not on there because Big Brother is watching you, and Big Brother is a massive leftist these days. Now, Bay Area cops have always been full of bullshit. It still shocks and amazes me to think that a long time ago I wanted to work for SFPD because at the time, I had just come back from the FBI and the Marshals because I didn't like the federal system. So at the time, to work for SFPD, you had to live in the city. They had city limits and a residency requirement. So I rode along with an SFPD inspector. And then would it shock anybody to find out that the San Francisco PD, even back in 2017, said that it is no longer going to be coordinating anymore with the FBI. On what? On counterterrorism. It's like, you can't write this shit, but I simply remind you that there's a massive history of all of this stuff. And so the SFPD at the time cut ties with the JTTF, which was the Joint Terrorism Task Force, because it would have coupled SFPD officers with federal agents in carrying out the requirements of immigration orders. Now, in this blog, in this post in 2017, I had various videos that were illustrating my point. Look, video taken down. When you click on that, it doesn't go anywhere. It's amazing stuff. And let's go back. Antifa was there as well. 4 arrested at Gavin McInnes event as Antifa protesters become violent. That's from Breitbart. 4 people were arrested at a New York University event where libertarian commenter and Vice co-founder Gavin McInnes, Vice co-founder, that's a leftist channel, folks, where he delivered a speech after anti-fascist protesters started to become violent and they started to throw punches. Even back in 2017. Now, if I have the time, depending on what's going on, if Jake is doing well, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Antifa this coming Thursday. So all of these things tend to point out that Leftist Urban Rat Cage coppers are being skewed by their politics. But if you look at the history of leftist urban rat cages, and if you look at the history of law enforcement, you see that the corruption was pretty much there from the beginning. This is the post that jacked me up 110%. Now, this one was April of 2017, that year. And this was illustrative of the absolutely I couldn't give a shit and cavalier attitude of Berkeley PD. And to write that post, well, you'll see, okay, and that's the title of the post. Well, I'll tell you what that means. And it took me almost a week to write that stupid post. Now, anybody that follows the show knows that I worked in law enforcement for 41 years. I worked on the federal side, and I also worked on local sides. I didn't work for a city in California. I worked for 2 counties as law enforcement in California. I'm a sheepdog. I'm an oath keeper. I keep my oath. That's been convoluted to say, oh, you're a white supremacist. Bullshit. I'm an oath keeper. I'm a silverback. And I was absolutely disgusted then as now with the reaction, or basically the lack of a reaction from Berkeley PD during these riots, from the City of Berkeley Police Department and from UCD PD in Berkeley. And that was from more riots. There was a Saturday, April 5th or 15th riot in 2017. And ostensibly, that was over the demand for, if you go way back, push them back, way back. This is how stupid it was over, well, you got to release Trump's tax records. So these idiots decided that they were going to riot in Berkeley over Trump's tax records. That's, that was nothing more than an excuse to riot and nothing more than another reason for Antifa to corral its little paid members from George Soros and Act Blue to appear at a specific event. These are not local protesters. Some are. Mostly they aren't. And they travel. And you'll see the same faces again and again and again and again at all of these riots and protests. And that's why, if you ever wondered why Antifa masks up, it's because they don't want you to know that a lot of these people are the same from place to place to place, and they're the organizers. And so that's why they started wearing masks, not necessarily because they thought it was cool. Now it's cool to be an Antifa rioter and you wear a mask, but it was initially to make sure that it wasn't known that all of these people are from a unified core of Antifa shitsticks who move from place to place to place, organizing and coordinating these riots. They're not protests. They may initially, for the first 15 seconds, be a protest, but the goal is to make sure that they burn, riot, and cause problems that task law enforcement. And as I've said for quite a number of time now, quite some time, is that law enforcement in leftist urban rat cage areas, cities, counties, states, etc., have been pushed to the point where the only way that they are allowed to succeed during riotous conditions is by sheer manpower. And they will never get that. They will never, ever have the ability to have numerical superiority in riots. That will never occur. And while this is going on, knowing full well these cities and counties and states have proscribed any kind of riot control from these areas. Can't have pepper ball, can't have sting ball, can't have 40 millimeter, can't have less than lethal, can't have gas munitions. Now that's funny because have you noticed? Those are all the things that you can do if you're a federal law enforcement agency up to and including ICE. Funny how that works out. But that is all purposeful. That is all with intent. These are all George Soros paid nomadic rioters who do the bidding of Antifa and the anarchists all across the nation. The faces begin to repeat, but you wouldn't be able to tell because they're all masked. And they all make sure that they wear pretty much the same black uniform so that you cannot tell them apart unless there's one of them that weighs like 400 pounds or there's another one that's 6'9". Otherwise, you're not going to be able to tell them apart. The faces begin to repeat. The Berkeley PD needed to be then, and any department now, they need to be named and shamed. And that's what I'm going to be doing with this show. I mentioned Chief Andrew Greenwood in Berkeley at that time in 2017, City of Berkeley Mayor, a dude by the name of Jesse Arreguin, and the UC Berkeley Police Department Chief, who was then Chief Margot Bennett. Now, this is the same, by the way, oddly enough, Chief Margot Bennett, who had her gun, badge, laptop, credentials, iPad, and other very personal items stolen from her official government vehicle back in the days of these riots. So you know that she's competent, of course. Charges? Discipline made public? Of course not. Because these people willingly carry political water for all the leftists. They were then, and they are still now, in collusion and mere steps away from being the terrorists that they purport to save people from. They knew fully well then. Portland, New York, Seattle, Chicago. They all know and advocate for violence against law enforcement, and these days against ICE. And they knew at the time in 2017, all this shit was going to lead right up to violence on the campus in Berkeley. They knew that was going to happen. So 21 people that time in April were arrested after violence on Saturday between groups of, there were Trump supporters and there were detractors and Antifa coordinating all of that. Oh, lovely. Isn't that wonderful? So Berkeley PD at the time, and you need to know this, folks, because I'm here to share with you. Berkeley PD had a Protest 101 link on its site. Welcome to Protest 101. It's a guide to assist anyone interested in organizing or participating in a safe and legal protest, march, demonstration, rally, or labor action in the city of Berkeley. And basically what they did is they told you, here's how to do it. The underlying subtext being, and we're going to ignore it all. So, all sorts of videos, video unavailable, no police around. But they said during that Protest 101, they said, we will provide proactive law enforcement. And there was a guy in a video who came up to and it's gone, as you can see right there. Video unavailable. That's the one that I planned to show. Can't, because it's gone. Imagine that. It didn't survive from 2017. So let me describe this for you, what occurred in Berkeley at the time. And then we will be transitioning over to, hey, look, Andrew Young is in chat. A first time sighting for Mr. Young. That's a wonderful thing. And of course, Licky Robinson. Hello, friends. Licky Robinson in chat too. But I'll describe the video because I remember it as if it was yesterday. There was a journalist who came up to a Berkeley PD car. And in the background of this video, 1 block away, was a riot. And you could hear rocks being thrown, people screaming, yelling. There were people running around hitting each other. That was a block away. Now, this Berkeley PD officer was sitting in the car. The journalist comes up to him and says something similar to, hey, and it wasn't a right-wing journalist. It was just a journalist who is in Berkeley and covers this crap, and said, how come you guys are sitting in this car and I can see a block away over there, there's a riot? Why aren't you guys responding? And the officer sitting in the car said, okay. And that was the title of my post. Berkeley PD. Okay. And the whole point of that was, next to that officer, behind the trunk, you could see there were at least visible 5 to 10 cops standing around from Berkeley PD. One of them, I noticed, had stripes on his shoulder, so that meant that was a sergeant. And and from then on, I called it one good sergeant. The people that have the most control in any police or sheriff's department organization are twofold: the FTOs who craft the trainees and the sergeants on the street who make sure that the rules and law are enforced in a fashion consistent with public safety of everyone. And I mentioned the good sergeant because all it would have taken is one good sergeant, which wasn't there at the time, one good sergeant to step up and say, because we found out, by the way, that the order had come down from the mayor to the chief of police in Berkeley at that time, and also UCD PD chief chimed in as well with support because she had to. And they were told, stand down, let it go. And so all it would have taken is what I say, one good sergeant. And one good sergeant to ignore all of that bullshit, because you'll see the linkulus after the top of the hour with regard to Chicago PD, because this shit is cyclical. I've seen it all before, only now it's worse than I could possibly have ever imagined. The despiculous from me is huge. It's massive. I will continue with that. But that one good sergeant could have, but chose not to say you and you and you and you and you and you. Go back to your cars, hats and bats, form up behind me, V formation. We're going down that block and we're going to do our fucking jobs. But no, Berkeley PD intentionally chose not to. Now, or you should know, because you took your oath of law enforcement, that you swore to protect the citizens and obey the Constitution. And your oath changes slightly with department and with state. Generally, the state is mentioned. Unless you're taking a federal oath, obviously no state. But the oaths are remarkably similar, and they say that you are obligated, when you take that oath, to support the Constitution and to keep people safe. And if you can't do your job, if you do not abide by your oath, you need to leave. You need to get out. And I cannot tell you how many law enforcement officers these days I'm disgusted with now, let's see. Sean took me a little bit to task last night, and I explained myself. And perhaps I should have explained myself better. I said, law enforcement these days, law enforcement officers primarily disgust me. And that was what the show was about, which is law enforcement officers who will not enforce the law are pathetic cowards. And I'm going to name and shame after the top of the break. You'll see this. You'll see this. You'll see this. And I'll have reasons for inserting these photographs here. I am disgusted with law enforcement. The differentiation that I should have made then on Sean's show, and I will make now, is not all law enforcers and law enforcement officers. I don't want to lump those all together. What I am primarily focusing my ire upon is those in leftist urban rat cages in sanctuary cities, towns, states, counties. They're the ones, and they know who they are. Not so many sheriffs because they are elected as opposed to appointed. But chiefs of police these days in law enforcement, most deaf for leftist urban rat cages, can't hum the cock of the mayor or the city council enough, because they know full well, trust me, when these areas are paying people, especially cops in the West and the Northwest, they're making bank as opposed to people that are not making bank in all sorts of other places and all sorts of jobs. And especially the chiefs of police. These people are making six figures. Some of these people are making mid six figures. Some of these people are making $200K, $250K. I remember the Seattle police chief was making over $250K. The chick at the time, do you remember, who allowed the Seattle precinct to be looted by rioters and just let it go, withdraw, let it burn. She was obeying the then Seattle mayor. How can you possibly be a law enforcement officer and not vomit at the end of your shift knowing that you were every bit as guilty of that precinct burning as the people who physically conducted that self-same burning? It's disgusting. It's revolting. It's nauseous. I try to come up with appropriate adjectives, and I am tasked to do that frequently these days. But I was giving you in the first hour a little bit of background as to where it is that I'm going to be going, because now it's the internet. And as I'm wont to say any number of times, I don't have to make any of this crap up. I don't need to. I bring the articles, I bring the videos when YouTube doesn't delete them, and I bring them to you by way of the internet. You know, that thing that the American media maggots don't want to consult. But if me, soon to be, happy birthday to me, 76 years old soon, if I can find this shit, that means the American media maggots are affirmatively deciding not to find this. I'll be back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
In a world where leftists are running out of metal for the safety pins of their soothing red diapers, one man stands alone, attempting to fundamentally change America, one leftist diaper at a time. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, is guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat leftists and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Listen to BZ Saloon on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern on the SHR Media YouTube channel, Twitch, KLRN, Rumble, and X at BZ Saloon. It's one great late-night conservatarian talk radio show. Be there. Aloha.
Hello, friends. You have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
It's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Just like the Bidens, I too am moving. Only in my case, it's days and times. That's right, you can now find the Edge of Liberty Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 Eastern on the SHR Media Network. Join me as we talk politics, news, alcohol, fun, not so much fun, clowns, small kittens, large kittens, dogs, amoebas, and anything else that just pops into my mind while I'm on the air. That is Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, on YouTube, X, KLRN Radio, Facebook, Twitch, and anywhere else a good podcast is found. Please check out our website, shrmedia.com. I will see you live on the air.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm back. Hello. 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 Remember cat videos? Remember the cats that used to say, hello? Or the one that continuously cracked me up was the cat. God, I should get that video because it just popped into my brainulus. Remember the cat in the video that used to go, I'm sorry, I can't even try to mock it or make fun of it. The cat used to say something similar to, I got to stop cracking myself up. I got to stop buying into my own jokes, damn it. The cat said, oh, Long Johnson. Oh, Long Johnson. And if you don't believe me, that means I got to play it. I got to try to see if I can find it on Thursday. Anyway, thanks for being here. The thrust of the show tonight is pretty simple. It's law enforcement these days, and I will specifically delineate in leftist urban rat cages. They're pathetic. They're disgusting. And quite frankly, they are cowards. They are abject cowards. Now, I was referring to some riots in 2014, 2017, Berkeley PD, San Francisco, in the Bay Area of California, always spell it with a K. So Antifa came prepared for war in these riots. And so they dressed for war. They were masked. Now you know why, because they hop from one riot to another. They're coordinated. There is no central casting for that. They are like a terrorist cell. One doesn't know the other so that they cannot all be destroyed, because that's what they are, terrorists. Antifa are terrorists. They come armed for war. Until this shit was proscribed, they would carry flags in metal poles, pull out the poles, and then start hitting people. They had chemical weapons then. They have chemical weapons now. They had M80s and fireworks. That's right, because you never consistently see every July 4th people coming back from having enjoyed a nice 4th and their new name is Stumpy or Fingers, because they don't have any. So they use anything and everything that they can. Fireworks, M80s, which are essentially, an M80 is an eighth stick of dynamite. If you weren't into that shit, if you didn't work EOD like I did, for example, they have chemical weapons. They have a lot of the stuff that cops have. You can go to Antifa, and if I decide to do the show on Thursday, I will show you where you can find the Antifa manual. I looked it up the other day. It's still there in PDF. And you can find how to be a good little Antifa terrorists. By the way, did you know that Antifa has been keeping a database, then it used to be, of all registered discus comments with your associated personal information. That's back in 2017. I wonder what Antifa is keeping a database on now. That would be, BZ luckily is not registered on Discus, and my real name is not in social media, and it never will fucking be. Thank God I was smart enough to not do that back in the late 90s. So, like I say, meanwhile, back at the ranch, Berkeley PD were busy sitting and standing next to their elderly Ford CVPIs. They died in 2011. The Ford CVPI has not been made since 2011. And so they were like buffing their nails and checking their checkbooks or playing Angry Birds or something like that. And I found out the name of the leftist journalist who came up to talk to the guy. The guy's name was Shane Bauer. No relation to Jack Bauer, just to tell you. And the video, there was a tweet. I found this. I looked in this during the break, and I saw, oh, look, the exact same thing that I was telling everyone here about. I can find it on X, where the journalist says, I tell a police officer, I've been seeing people get beat up all day, and they haven't been around. And that's when the police officer says, okay. But would it shock you mortally to discover that you can't find that anymore? That is gone. That is gone. And then in the process of doing that, I wrote another post. This is again back in 2017, August, where Antifa journalists, city administrators, government bureaucrats, and police are removing your constitutional rights even back in 2017. Well, BZ, how do you know all this stuff? Because that's when I was awake. That's when I used to pound out 2 or 3 posts a day. Anybody remember this? Look, all my heroes kill cops. Thanks, Barack Obama. This is a war on cops. It's been very real and very dangerous since back then. Why isn't the left exposing that hate speech? Because they're in with it. And then leftists, of course, back then said that speech is brutality. Speech is violence. That's when it all started. 2015, Ferguson and all that Barack Hussein Obama bullshit. Let's catch up with some of the comments. What do you call? Jesus. Anyway, Mission Ready Men says you got to go. So thanks for being here, Mission Ready Men. Appreciate it. Anyway, so this started all back then. It was terrible then. It's only gotten worse. Now, this is from Tricia McLaughlin. For those of you who are listening, I'm going to read this, and you're not watching. Besides, the print on this is really teeny, and when you replay watching this in podcast, you might not be able to read all the words. This is from Tricia McLaughlin. Now it says, this morning, October 4th, during routine patrol in Broadview, Illinois, the same area of Chicago law enforcement were assaulted yesterday. Our brave law enforcement officers were rammed by vehicles and boxed in by 10 cars. Agents were unable to move their vehicles and exited the car. One of the drivers who rammed the law enforcement vehicle was armed with a semi-automatic weapon. Law enforcement was forced to deploy their weapons and fire defensive shots at an armed U.S. citizen who drove herself to the hospital to get care for wounds. The armed woman, oddly enough, hey, here's something weird, was named in a CBP intelligence bulletin last week for doxing agents and posting online. Hey, to all my gang, let's fuck those motherfuckers up. Don't let them take anyone. Now, thankfully, at that point, no law enforcement officers were injured in that attack. And J.B. Pritzker's Chicago Police Department is leaving the shooting scene and refuses to assist us in securing the area. There's a growing crowd, and we are deploying special operations to control the scene. It's an evolving situation, and we will give more information as soon as it becomes available. Well, this did, in fact, evolve. Again, from Bill Melugin. Now, I had any number of leftists tell me none of this happened. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Jessica Tarlov on the 5 today said there's information to indicate that none of this happened and that it's all a ploy. Well, you probably can't see this because the writing is so small. Remember Bill Melugin from Fox News, who was assigned for at least 2 years or more down on the border, covering the border and the illegal invader flood. And that guy is a drip with credibility. He's got a C for credibility on every hat that he wears. This is an X tweet from him. DHS announces federal agents in Broadview were rammed and boxed in by 10 cars, and they were going to fuck up ICE. I trust this guy. I trust Bill Melugin. He's there. These people are there on the scenes. But of course, people are saying, oh, no, BZ, no receipts. You didn't know. Jessica Tarlov, no, this didn't happen. Really? Let's play. Now you can see that's a law enforcement officer being pushed, rammed. So that didn't happen. And so they'll drive over anything and anyone in order to get away. This is the United States of America, folks. This is how low we have fallen. And then it was said, by the way, Chicago PD, they wouldn't respond. And my first thought was, no, that cannot be possible. How is it that a law enforcement agency would refuse to cover fellow law enforcement officers and let it get to this point and let Illinois and Chicago and its surrounding environs devolve to this kind of a situation? This is not revolution or evolution. This is devolution. This is the United States of America. And this is where we are in October of 2025. And then people, of course, are going to say, well, BZ, you don't have any of the receipts. You don't know who responded or who didn't respond. Here's something from The Hill. Woman shot after allegedly attempting to hit ICE car and ICE agents with her car. And that's true. So agents exited the vehicle. Officials said that was when a female suspect attempted to run them over, forcing the agents to open fire. The woman who allegedly attempted to run the agents over was allegedly armed with a semi-automatic weapon. Allegedly, meaning, of course, she did. They deployed their weapons and fired defensive shots at an armed U.S. citizen who drove herself to the hospital to get care for wounds, and she fled the scene. She couldn't have given one dribbling fuck about who she hit, if anyone that she killed. She was just going to go. And as Phantom said, well, they didn't go far. She got enough to get herself to a hospital. And I'm going to play for you dispatch audio. And you may have heard this before, especially on some of the other prior SHR shows. Both Sean and Jersey Joe have their shows on Monday, so they get to beat me and one-up me with all the stuff that just came out of the teletype and the new cool stuff. But I also do this show for the people that didn't happen to watch those shows. And I also do this for myself to make sure that I archive these things so that I can go back later, watch these videos, and remember what the hell was happening in the United States of America during this time. So these shows archive that. And if you've heard it before, I'm sorry, but sometimes I get an entirely different audience because I get a night audience on a Tuesday or a Thursday, and these guys get different audiences. Maybe, sort of. Anyway, people have been I'm sorry, I should have quantified. Leftists have been excoriating me on social media saying, look, and they're showing pictures. Look, we have the receipts. Here are armed masked snipers of the federal government on roofs with rifles, pointing their rifles at American citizens. That's called Overwatch. If you know anything about the military. And because of all the things that have occurred in the past, ICE and federal agents no longer have the luxury of simply assuming that surrounding rioting crowds, that rioters are unarmed and won't try to kill them. Democrats, leftists, globalists, anarchists, and Antifa have proven time and again they couldn't care less who they kill. Some sniper in Texas, not far from Dallas, decided that he was going to shoot at an ICE van, an unmarked white ICE van. Ended up killing not any ICE agents, but ended up killing 2 illegal invaders that were inside that van. One, if I'm not mistaken, is still currently hospitalized. They don't give a shit whose bodies they drop for their philosophy. Oops. Shot the wrong guy, but that's okay because the point came across. And so ICE agents and federal agents aren't stupid. So they're going to put Overwatch individuals on firearms looking down because that's how one acquires any form or sort of tactical event. Oh, it's so terrible. That's what you pushed us to, you leftist Antifa terrorists. So these ICE agents have been, let's go back and revisit history. They've been rammed. They've been shot at. They've been sniped by rifles. They've been blinded by lasers. They've had flaming, if you remember this, they've had flaming dumpsters shoved against their ICE buildings and facilities so that they would be trapped inside and perhaps be burned inside, if you recall that. They've been doxxed. There have been threats to families, threat to the officers, hit lists with $100,000 bounties. Now there's an expectation of some sort that their fellow law enforcement officers will not cover them, will not assist them. I never, ever envisioned a time where this could happen. I never thought I would see the day when law enforcement officers were told to not back up fellow officers, and that those officers who were so instructed would obey those orders. Those cops are filthy, despicable, cowardly trash. It's an obscenity. Go back to Berkeley, which is why I made this point. All it would take is one good sergeant to have a backbone instead of being an invertebrate and appoint you with me. I'm going right there, right now. Did we see any of this? No. Now, UBG says, yeah, engineered social collapse. Look at the UK. I had so many. Let me put this up here. Look, BZ. Look, folks. Look how many things I had to talk about lined up for tonight. I probably, truly won't get to a quarter of them. And I have a 2-hour show. I'm probably not going to be getting into overtime, but if you can hang with me through the rest of the show, I will probably be carrying this over to next Thursday. Of course, situation dependent, because in the meantime, anything and everything can occur on the intervening Wednesday and that Thursday morning and day up till the night of my show. It's like, what the hell? These are days that just make you go, what is going on? I don't get it. I absolutely don't get it. Let me play the video. I think this is, how long is this? Is this the short one or the long one? This is the long one. So let's play this.
Okay. Any kind of particular hairstyle, just younger male Hispanic on foot wearing all black?
No hairstyle.
Okay, 10-4. And one is for the hit and run. This guy fled from the scene at 37th Place in Kedzie. It all started at I-55 in Kedzie.
This is Chicago PD. For those of you who can't see this, that are maybe listening later on in podcast or listening right now, you're not watching the show. This is Chicago PD, a dispatcher for Chicago PD.
Southbound at Kedzie, where that offending vehicle crashed. They ran the federal agent off the road. They fled on foot westbound 37th Place.
Okay, now stop. The reason I'm playing this is because Chicago PD had the information. They possessed the information. The information was relayed to the Chicago dispatcher, and she shipped it out to the units that were available. So they are not unaware. They know exactly what's going on.
From Kedzie. It was a male Hispanic younger wearing all black clothing. 90 man.
Yeah, send the cars in that direction. Have them stay put 2 or 3 blocks away, all right? Have them hold tight until I give you further direction, please.
Hold tight. We're not going to be going to the assistance of our federal law enforcement brothers and sisters. In other words, Chicago PD is saying to the federal agents, male, female, fellow cops, we're not coming. We're not coming to you. But wait, there's a reason.
Okay, so for and for the units responding to 39th Place in Kedzie per 999, if you guys can just, for the units responding to 39th Place in Kedzie, if you guys can start heading there as quick as you can, and then just hold tight for instructions with 999.
999.
999.
For the chief of patrol, clear.
Stop. Now people say, this didn't happen. It's on audio. You can hear the dispatcher. Per the chief of patrol. This is the Chicago chief of patrol. This is what he looks like. This is his name. Patrol, Chicago PD Patrol Chief John P. Hine.
Everybody up. We're not responding over there.
We're not responding over there, says 999, and that's who issued the order.
Radio check. And again, per the chief of patrol, we have...
Per the chief of patrol. How much more obvious can it be? I looked up. Who is the chief of patrol? That's the chief of patrol of Chicago PD. But people are, again, leftists, anarchists are saying, no, this didn't happen. And then Chicago PD, the chief, had the temerity to lie to all of our faces, look us right in the eye through cameras and say, this didn't happen.
All the units that, per 999, chief of patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
62, we're going to clear out as soon as we can, Spud. We're like locked in over here, so we're going to do the best we can to get out of here as soon as we can.
And that's the devolution of law enforcement to this day. So, fuck these turds. Name them and shame them. Chicago PD, you're disgusting. Chicago Chief, you're disgusting. Chief John Hine, you're disgusting. No, this didn't happen. You're cowards. You are pathetic, dirty, filthy cowards. Oh, we don't have the receipts. Now, this is a CAD view. And people looked at this and said, well, this doesn't make any sense to me. This is what a dispatcher sees. It's a computer-assisted dispatch screen called a CAD. And this is the view that a dispatcher or a call taker would see. So you have remarks and then you have a history. You can get premise history and find out, okay, at that particular given address, how many times have we been there before? And then you can tell the units that are responding to a given address. Look, here's the premise history. We've been there in the past 2 weeks 7 times. Now, again, here's the date. You can read as well as I. For those people that are listening instead of watching, the CAD says 4 October 2025, 12:34. PD 42, please, Chief of Patrol, no units will respond to this as related from PDS 17. But in the comments, it says approximately 30 armed Border Patrol agents, ICE, who are being surrounded by a large crowd of people requesting CPD. Are we going to go? Oh, no. No. CPD was ordered not to respond. We will not be responding to that. That's beyond human ken. But this comes in direct response to everything to which we've been witness in the past month, couple of months or so. Violence, endemic, never-ending violence on behalf of leftists. Damn it, Jim. Where's my final promo?
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Listen in to the Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a show equipped for bombast. Tune in Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific, featuring a refreshing dose of reality. Jersey Joe fearlessly tackles the tough topics with no nonsense. Just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com, where you can hear the Reaver of Common Sense in action. He may not always be polite. He may not always be refined. But one thing's for sure. He always tells it like it is.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out 7 Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing. They're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic.
Hey, look, it's a fat guy wearing a 7 Armors t-shirt. Huh, imagine that.
Man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with 7 Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passionate.
Are you looking for bold and honest conversation about the issues shaping America? Well, let me welcome you to Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen, where we take you beyond the headlines. We dive into politics and culture, struggles of everyday life. It's raw, real, and unfiltered. If you're ready for truth with a punch, pull up a chair and join us. That's right, Unleashed 101, where real talk feels like home. Find us at unleashed101.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. We look forward to seeing you. Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional. But it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Last 30 minutes, last 25 minutes. 24 minutes, last 24 minutes of the show. It is 9:36 p.m. Pacific. It is 11:36 Central. And it is midnight 36 back on the East Coast. So everybody, thanks for being here tonight. As you can see, as I showed earlier, due to the times, my plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room has been changed once more in order to make it more foamy, lovey, close, endearing. Just makes you want to curl up and listen to the show with a nice beverage in your hand, a nice alcoholic beverage, perhaps, in your hand. And wouldn't that be, this is the time of the show when I usually say,
Folks, this is BZ's final hour. Step up. Last call for alcohol.
And also, have you ever wanted to hear someone sing about my show? I know you have.
Featuring bobosity, unrestrained, and a carnival of conservative cogitations. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, continues on the SHR Media Network.
Hey, thanks, kids. By the way, remember the movie Mothra, where the little, I think there were little Japanese chicks, but I think they had wings, if I'm not mistaken. Masara. And they would sing, Masara. By the way, those are the same chicks that I got to do that. They're older now, but they keep their age really well because they're, I don't know, they're different. They're small. Anyway, that was a movie back in the 50s. In any event, let me put this out. Remember the guy, Nick Sorter? He's a journalist. Now, journalists these days who don't have a massive contingent and aren't backed up by the American media maggots are frequently more journalists than the American media maggots themselves. There was a guy named Nick Sorter who went to Portland to cover the riots and the Antifa insurrection and the destruction. And he got arrested wrongfully by Portland PD. And then the DA in Portland subsequently decided and probably thought similar thoughts to this, as in, if I don't let this guy go, I'm probably going to have a lawsuit on my hands. And it looks like Portland PD didn't necessarily have the PC or the probable cause to make that arrest, so I'm not going to prosecute him. Caveat: if I were Nick Sorter, I would sue the living shit out of the arresting officer, the chief, and all of Portland PD, along with the city of Portland itself. I hope he does it. So Nick wrote here, and I'm going to read it for, again, the people that are not watching, but they're listening. In response to my wrongful arrest in Portland, President Trump has ordered his staff to review federal aid to be cut in the city of Portland per Carolyn Levitt. We will not fund states that allow anarchy. This arrest may be costly.
Just last night, we saw an extremely troubling incident where conservative journalist Nick Sorter was captured on video being taken into custody by the Portland police after he was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults. But instead of arresting these violent mob members night after night after night who are ravaging this community, the police arrested a journalist who was there trying to document the chaos, and everyone in this room should be extremely concerned about that. The Department of Justice spoke with that
But they're not. They couldn't care less.
journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest. This incident is part of a troubling trend in Portland where left-wing mobs believe they get to decide who can visit and live in their city.
Would it shock you to realize I have receipts of Antifa essentially telling Portland PD officers, Portland Bureau of Police officers, where citizens can go, where they can drive, and where we as Antifa are saying, no, they cannot go. We control the city, not you.
It is not their city. It is the American people's city, and President Trump is going to restore that. I just spoke with the president about this, and he has directed his team here at the White House to begin reviewing aid that can potentially be cut in Portland. We will not fund states that allow anarchy. There will also be an additional surge of federal resources to Portland immediately, including enhanced CBP and ICE resources.
See, now this shocks everybody. This shocks the conscience of leftists. They have never had this occur to them before. They have never been subject to #consequences. That was certainly not true under Biden. For 4 years, anarchists and the American media maggots could do literally whatever the hell they wanted. Anyway, people are making fun of me here. Masada. Godzilla and Mothra? No, it's Mothra. Come on, if you're going to reference it, make sure you get the spelling right. But these are unique times because never before in this fashion have leftists been subject to true consequences to behaviors or actions. I'm going to play this. This is about a minute and a half or so, and I'll set this up. Portland police, here's a video of Portland police. You'll see them in their bicycles, in their patches, in their yellow shirts, in their helmets. They're sitting around doing nothing. They relegated traffic enforcement duties in the city of Portland to Antifa and to Trans-Tifa. Woohoo! Because who wouldn't want to be a tranny member of Antifa? That's an extra plus in terms of the hierarchy of victimhood. Leftist militants are deciding, they were deciding, as Chaz Chop did with regard to Seattle, they were deciding who is going to be allowed into Portland streets while Portland Bureau of Police officers watched, allowed it to occur. I have the photos as well. While the cops watch. Portland PD is disgusting. Portland PD consists of cowards. It's why I named the show tonight. You are pathetic law enforcement cowards. I gave the history, a short history of it, and I'm bringing the article and the video receipts of this. Portland PD, you disgust me. So somebody confronts a Portland cop about it who said, well, we can't do anything about it because this is Antifa's event. It's not Portland's event. It's not the cops' event. It's an event that belongs to Antifa. So the manager, and you know, you vote for this shit. I'm sorry for this guy. Not sorry. So a manager of a local restaurant decides that he's going to complain to the cops. And the cops said they'd have the only road to his restaurant reopened. But Antifa said, no, you can't open that road, Portland PD. So it didn't get opened. And that guy didn't have any business. Well, on the other hand, consequences, you voted for that. You stay there. By staying there and voting for it, you check off that list. Yeah, that's okay. I like, until you get personally involved. Then it's complaints. So Portland PD has completely ceded their power to Antifa. And then that journalist said that an officer came up to him and said, well, the reason we can't stop Antifa from taking over the streets is they don't have a permit. What? Okay, let's put this up and let's watch and listen for about a minute and a half. Look, it's cops. Now, is that a cop? Stop right there. That's a Tesla. Do you think that's a cop? Now, Portland PD is pretty liberal. That's not a cop. Do you see any cop gun? Any cop identifier? Well, he's considerate of safety. He's wearing a yellow safety vest, right? That's Antifa. Yeah, I don't think those pants are Portland PD issue. I could be wrong. So see the woman in the Subi, in the SUV there? Well, I can't come down the street, so she's trying to back up. All these Portland PD officers are making probably $100,000 to $118,000 a year from Portland, if they have any amounts of seniority whatsoever. And probably, my guess would be, fairly decent bennies. Look, they have guns. See the bag on the bicyclist to the left. There's a bag. That's a mask. That's a gas mask in case he has to go to, riots, or at least he has to look at them from afar and pedal on by.
We're stocked up right now, a busy night. Lots of stuff going on here. Right. I just am trying to formulate a game plan.
Okay. Representatives of Bureau of Police, Portland, that's a liaison officer. What's a liaison officer? It's an officer that could have been any officer, but they decided to put them into a little polo shirt so that they could liaison with the terrorists in Portland. And we want to keep it as peaceful as possible. So in order to keep the peace, we'll just let Antifa do whatever they want. Here's negotiations go.
So they have a block along to the right, and this is the only way to get in there. Okay, let me go tell them that if people are trying, when they're talking to them, hey, if they're trying to go to the other side, left through. We're okay with left-hand through.
Okay, hello, resident on the left in a blue shirt asking PD to ask Antifa to let him through because he has business or he's a resident of the area. Wait, let me consult with my local Antifa terrorist.
We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know what they're going to say. We don't know if they're going to allow you into your city for which you pay taxes, but these low-level pieces of shit do not.
I understand there's no permit. That's sort of the problem, I guess. I don't know why they're allowed to control traffic as to who goes which direction.
Okay, readily acknowledged on the audio, they're allowed to control traffic. That is to say, Antifa. Let's continue.
So there's better people crashing into people.
And that officer is completely confused. I'm so confused. I don't understand what's going on here. I don't have the authority to do. You have the authority to do anything and everything that you want, but that if you make a decision that goes against the grain of Portland PD or its masters, your career is jeopardized. Your promotions are jeopardized. You could be suspended. You could be written up. Perhaps even your job is being jeopardized. So, well, I gotta do what Antifa says.
Okay, but they're okay. All right, I guess we'll find out here.
You ignorant, stupid, cowardly motherfuckers.
I understand where you're coming from. It's just, yeah, I mean, you guys are the police. Correct, but we have a different task to do. So we can only do so much with 4 people.
Okay, let me stop. That's a citizen saying, but you're the police. If citizens can't trust the police to take care of the citizens over the alleged priorities of Antifa, then why are there police? I'm asking in good faith, why does Portland have police? You have essentially turned duties over to Antifa. Look, there's a guy, not a cop, directing traffic. That person decides who goes through, who doesn't. And Portland police says, well, that's not my job. My job is to stand here in this polo shirt that says liaison, and I don't know, I'm not exactly sure what's going on. How did we get here? Well, come on. We all know. You know. I know. But it's just in 2025. I retired in 2016 as a law enforcement officer. Today, especially in a leftist urban rat cage, I would survive one call as a sergeant, maybe 2 calls at the most, before I start making decisions that are going to get me fired from Portland. Now tell me and look around. Consider this. How many good sergeants do you see? How many good police officers do you see? I'm just doing my job. Have we heard that before? And was there a metal gate involved over which the letters Arbeit macht frei were inscribed in iron? Have we seen this before sometime?
But there are like 10 other cops that just went by. Different group.
Different group. In other words, I'm not going to listen to you. You're a citizen. Yeah, you pay taxes, but you're not the priority. This is what I'm doing. Look, I'm a big dude. I'm Portland Police Liaison Officer 396.
So the spaghetti factory, this is currently their only way for customers to get in. So you guys are talking to people.
Here we go. Let's negotiate with Antifa. What the hell?
They're wanting to go that way.
And this is why I wanted to go in depth on these videos so that you could hear these things, understand these things. I am archiving it for me and for you to, do I think this will get better? No, not in my lifetime. Maybe in yours. Will it get better in your children's lifetime? I'm not even certain of that. I know. Yeah, let's end. Yeah, we'll negotiate with Antifa. Yeah, that's cool. We'll let these people go over here, and then I'll make the decisions. That's straight out of, like I say, you can't keep a civilized society like this. Now, of course, it's Portland. And there is no civilized society in Portland. It doesn't exist anymore. And soon, in November, it will be this way and worse in New York City, because I guarantee you that the muzzy, racist, anti-Semitic, lying piece of filth, Mamdani, will become mayor of New York City. Now, mayors have a certain amount of limited power. Their powers are not unlimited. But imagine being someone involved in city government, having a muzzy come in, and then you think that you have the power, that you're going to attempt to go against this individual when the people of the city of New York elected that shit stick in November? You think you're going to be the singular pushback on that? No, you're not. Not if you like your job. Same for Portland, same for Seattle. It's occurring big time, huge time, New York City first. But I said, pick a city, have that experiment, watch it fall apart, watch the subsequent ensuing bedlam and chaos, and then you can have your results, watch and see what they are, and then make your big decision after that. Will leftists get it if New York City falls apart? No. We're watching Portland fall apart in front of our eyes, and Seattle fall apart in front of our eyes. And yes, do not trust any law enforcement entity in a blue state or in a leftist urban rat cage. And you know which ones and which areas they are. This is not anything but devolution. But wait, I might go a couple of minutes over time. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 illustrations that I'd yet like to make. Were you aware of this? That in the village of Broadview, Illinois, which is a suburb, basically I'm getting a bedroom community of Chicago, the DHS secretary, Kristi Noem, were blocked from accessing the village of Broadview municipal building there in Illinois. They were there to take a pee-pee break. Nope, can't come in. Now it's a public building. She's a member of the public. No, you cannot come in. This is the point. The village of Broadview receives about, say, $1 million in federal funding every year. And so this is how that mayor, that police chief, J.B. Jabba the Hutt Pritzker, governor of Illinois, this is how they treat the federal government. So this is about a minute and a half. Let's watch this. She's barred at the doors. She says this is the everyday reality for officers in cities, in blue cities, in leftist urban rat cages like this one.
Thank you. Interesting. That's what Governor Pritzker says is cooperation and keeping people safe.
So that's why I show these videos. Because otherwise, unless I came with articles, videos, receipts, no clear-thinking human being would understand this is what's going on right now. This is what's going on. And yes, I do. I've gotten to the point now, just like federal officers on Overwatch, I keep my own receipts. I kept this because shit like this disappears. I keep this because pieces of shit like this, their photos magically disappear. Imagine that. Just like the other videos that I showed you disappear. And photos like this of Portland PD turning away a resident in the street. You can't go down this street where you pay taxes and wanted to go to, that's where I live. I can see my residence from here. No, you can't. You must turn around. So more and more, I take screenshots of things because you will not be surprised to know that things just disappear. Now, I told you earlier there was a bounty. Cartels target federal immigration agents with $10,000 bounties, $10,000 to a Mexican, to somebody who is poor in Mexico. That's a lot of greckles. Cartels, gangs, and terror groups, like Antifa and motivated lone wolves. How many lone wolves have we seen recently with rifles killing people? Oh, that's a few. And I go back to, they don't give a shit whose body they lay down and make cold as the blood runs in the gutter. Chicago's mayor, Brandon Johnson, doesn't give a crap about young black males as long as his philosophy is buttressed and supported. You can lay all the black male bodies down in Chicago and no Democrat gives a shit. They know what to do, but they refuse to do it. It's not a matter of money. No, let me say the quiet part out loud. It's a matter of a corrupt culture, black culture in leftist urban rat cages. You can clean this up. It got cleaned up in D.C., didn't it? But this is our town. Brandon Johnson says, this is our crime. These are our criminals. We love them with all our heart. Because we cannot afford to give a win whatsoever, not a molecules win, to Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad. The guy with the dead orange cat on his head. You can never afford him a win. And we do not care how many bodies we have to lay down. Absent, immaterial. Now, like I said, the Portland DA decided that they were going to drop the case on Nick Sorter. And so, look, here's a video with Portland Police Chief, name him and shame him, Bob Day. Portland Police Chief Bob Day. Bob D-A-Y, Day. Now let's see, what did he do before he became a Portland police officer? Oh, he ran a DEI consulting business before being asked to head the Portland Police Bureau in 2023. So he's saying people like Nick Sorter, the journalist, people like him are inciting incidents for clicks. But the DA dropped the case anyway. This is 54 seconds, about a minute, and I want to play this. You must understand the mindset of the law enforcement, disgusting, cowardly filth like this. They are no different. They are terrorists wearing badges, carrying guns officially, and they wear a uniform.
Wanted to ask you about an arrest that took place, obviously very high profile. It was Nick Sorter, who is a conservative influencer and journalist. He says that he was simply covering the protests, but he has, of course, been charged there with disorderly conduct. What can you tell me about that arrest overall?
Here it comes.
Well, what we're seeing with the increased national attention is bringing in nationally recognized influencers. This is certainly a new phenomenon for myself and for law enforcement in general, and their reach is obviously very significant. And so they're going where they can.
But the philosophy of the journalist or the influencers is the determinant. Now, if you're a leftist, if you're Antifa and you're covering this, you're good as gold, no problem. Your philosophy is the cleavage that separates the two. If you're a leftist or if you're Antifa, come one, come on.
Get the views and create the perception. And our belief is that
create the perception. Nick Sorter is creating the perception. Nick Sorter created those crowds. Nick Sorter wanted to, he's responsible for all those riots. He's responsible for the people not being allowed to get into their homes. He's responsible for Antifa directing traffic, and the Portland Police Bureau just stepping back and saying, dude, I'm making bank. Do what you will.
We are simply managing to the rule of law. Our role is to mitigate crimes, violence, etc. There was a disturbance involving Mr. Sorter. We took 3 people into custody, and those cases have been referred to the district attorney's office.
Wanted to ask you
who decided that basically those were arrests. Those were bad faith arrests. Like I say, BZ to Nick Sorter, sue. Find a grand attorney. Find a great attorney. Sue away, young man. Let there be consequences. Bing! Consequences. And just like that one, God, I didn't even have the time yet tonight to get to anything except my main topic. Yet, still and all, I did manage to get to my main topic, which involves pathetic law enforcement cowards. James Harbin, as a grandfather and vet, this needs to be straightened out in 2025, no later. I wish I were positive for you, James. As I will repeat, this will not get straightened out, not in my time. I'm too old. Will it get straightened out in your time? I'm not certain. I really don't know. I can go all sorts of different places. I'll play all sorts of little mind games with this right now. Not going to go there. Wouldn't be prudent. We'll do it in a later show. UBG says, this is interesting. Leftists use the incitement excuse. Unconstitutional crap like a gunfighter drawing a pistol. If you don't conform to what I demand of you, this gun just may go off. And I won't be responsible for that. You will be the person who forced me to do that. It's not on me. It's on you. Hey, look. Portland's police chief came out of a meeting today after a meeting with Kristi Noem, and he didn't seem to be in such a grand shape. Let me see if I can. The thing here, the video here says, Portland police chief nearly in tears after the Noem meeting. Wouldn't you like to have been a fly on the wall for that? Oh, God, yes. Oh, please. Let's play it. Turn on the volume. Let's see what we get.
I'm going to give this to somebody. Here, I can take care of it.
The guy with 4 stars, that's Chief Bob Day. I wonder what he got told. Or maybe what he related. I would love to have heard. Wouldn't you? Now, I will end with this. Portland is working, as we all know, as I think I have adequately illustrated tonight, that Portland is working on behalf of Antifa terrorists. So, law enforcement officers, as I hope I've indicated clearly to you tonight, are walking essentially hand in hand with terrorists, with anarchists. And those are in leftist urban rat cages, I like to make clear, not in red states, red cities, red counties. We have enough problems in law enforcement without buttressing it with this terrorist bullshit. And so these people, law enforcement cowards, are no different from the rioters and the terrorists themselves. Their weak brains, that's their nature to begin with, have allowed them to be Stockholmed. And it's what I say. People work, and you know this is a definite BZ axiom. People work in certain jobs at certain times because they are oriented in that fashion, and that's where they want to go, and that's where they want to work. The people that show up in Portland PD as recruits are much different than those who show up as recruits in, say, Montana or Wyoming or South Dakota. They're a different breed of cat completely. Doctors want to be doctors. They don't want to be shoe salesmen. Cops go into law enforcement because they don't want to be social workers unless they want to be social workers and get paid bank in certain areas where they know they can do that. So I'm going to show you a letter. This is from Andy No. Has personally dealt with all the threats from Antifa, doesn't even live in the Pacific Northwest anymore because he's been threatened to be killed if he shows up again. Imagine that. So in Oregon's emergency lawsuit to prevent President Trump from sending troops to Oregon to protect federal property, there was an email from Portland Police Sergeant Andrew Braun. Let me name and shame. Leftist Portland PD Sergeant Andrew Braun, B-R-A-U-N, badge number 56961. This email that I'm going to show you was included. In it, Braun, the sergeant of Portland PD, blames the victims of Antifa for their own assaults. So let me put this up on the stage and I will read for you for the people who are not watching right now, because the letters are kind of small. This is a document filed 10/2/25, page 2 of 3, from Andrew Braun to Brian Lloyd. And there are some other people that are CC'd down below. FPS Dispatch alerted BOEC to a disturbance in front of ICE between 12 protesters and one counter-protester. One protester pepper-sprayed a Macker. FPS updated that the same protester pepper-sprayed another counter-protester. Video from FPS helped to establish PC for attempted robbery too and unlawful use of pepper spray. There were as many as 50 protesters gathered and more agitated their rights. Ultimately, the suspect was not located. Again, read this at your leisure later on when I post the show. All the show notes will be there, the articles, the videos for you to see in your own time. The suspect was not located. Outstanding action items. Send a day shifter to pick up the full video. However, note at the very bottom down here. Oops, pointing the wrong direction. Look at the bottom of this. These three counter-protesters continue to be a chronic source of police and medical calls at ICE. Despite repeated advice from officers to stay away from the ICE crowd, they constantly return and antagonize the protesters. They're not rioters. Oh no, they're protesters. Counter-protesters are antagonizing the rioters, and police takes the side of the protesters and the rioters. They return and antagonize the protesters until they are assaulted or pepper sprayed. They refuse or are reluctant to walk away from these confrontations, even when police are in the area trying to meet with them. Now, do you see any impetus or motivation behind Portland PD to meet with any of these people? I do not. I see it with regard to Antifa. Antifa are their friends. They're good buddies. They even engage in the same trespassing behavior on federal and trolley property as the main protesters. So this got sent in as evidence to acquire a document proscribing President Trump from going in to Portland. We don't need the help. You just delineated right there. Yeah, you do. You need all that help. So, Whiskey Dale. Hey, Whiskey Dale. Dude, you're over on Rumble. Oh, no, that was the Alaskan. Whiskey Dale. The Alaskan, I hope you come in next Thursday. The Alaskan was over at Rumble asking me how to get into YouTube. And so if you watch a little bit later on, again, Whiskey Dale, good to see you, sir. So for the Alaskan, If you want to get into the show, all you need to do, number one, go to YouTube. Number two, find the SHR Media YouTube channel. Once you find that, then, you can bookmark it, whatever it is that you want to do. And then when the shows go live, and you'll know the times, or click, it's like I say, let me go up here and put this banner up. If you click the bell, you get notified about our shows. And while you're there, Alaskan, you can click the bell for notifications, and you can subscribe, be a subscriber. And that doesn't cost you a thing, not a thing. We would love to have you over here on YouTube. So click the bell, please go ahead and subscribe. And Alaskan, I would love to see you over here, just as I love to see everybody that's here on my show. As per normal, 2 hours, 15 minutes gone. Pew, gone. And I've had a great time. Jeremy Hansen says, been here just trying to hit some deadlines, doing some work in the background. Great. I got to hear the dulcet tones of BZ. Thank you ever so kindly. Next Thursday, this will be a continuation. OMG, the stuff that I didn't get to. But as I indicate, I have to put this stuff up, because to gloss over so much of this stuff, people need to understand what's happening in their own backyards, or at least in other states. We're all in this together. Terrorists, the American media maggots, leftists, Democrats, globalists, they're all trying to tear the United States of America apart. And it will occur unless we stop them. The 2026 midterms are every year. Critical. Oh, these are critical. Yes, they're critical. You give the Senate or Congress back to Democrats, and everything that Trump has fought long and hard for the American people will be gone. It will be overturned on day one. The Congress until 2028, the Congress and the Senate will step in front of Trump and stop everything that we have worked so hard for all the common sense stuff that you and I have worked so hard for. Guaranteed something is going to occur between now and Thursday. You and I both know it. If nothing huge happens, I'd like to be able to finish this story on Thursday night. So many other things to go up and talk about up here. And I invite everybody to come back. Also, I'm just saying that it's mission critical in terms of, if my little boy here, Jake, if something happens to him, we give him water. We give him an IV drip every morning, and he's gone through one bag already. He doesn't like the needle, but he's been perky. He perked up today. It was grand. It was great. Today was a wonderful day for Jake, but he's going away. He has bad days and good days, just like anybody else. So thank you for being here. It's been my privilege to be here for everyone. Let's see, what's tomorrow? Wednesday. Programming note. Sackhead Sean of Edge of Liberty will not be doing his show tomorrow. He is otherwise occupied. He is skied away to go see his family in another state. He will not be here the rest of the week. He should be here next Monday night. And then Earl from Mission Ready Men will be here Thursday morning before me. His show, Mission Ready Men, on the SHR Media YouTube channel, starts at 9 a.m. Pacific and noon Eastern. So he will be coming on Thursday morning. Then I'll be back, absent extenuating circumstances, on Thursday night. And then Jersey Joe will be here Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern. And Jersey Joe has a great show. Earl has a great show. Sean will be back on Monday. I have a great show. Okay, I hope. So to everybody who was here tonight, I hope you learned something. It's tough in these times to keep a positive attitude, especially with all the crap that's been going on. People being shot and killed by leftists. We either keep this country or it turns to bedlam and chaos. And guaranteed, if and when it does, the rest of the planet will be sucked into that vacuum of evil.
Mein Fleisch has been lost.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. And also in Resizzled. It'll be Resizzled tomorrow night on KLRN. And all sorts of bulbous podcast places that are just wonderful. And you know who they are and you know where they are. Promotional consideration by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, also by Shure and Electro Voice microphones, by the people that make my mixer, Arrakis, and also by Pratt & Whitney. They manufacture dependable engines producing thrust you can trust. Tiaras tonight and every night are by My Little Pony. Look. Also, thanks to BZ's personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than 10 minutes. There's no reason not to. And to everyone here, I love doing this show. I don't love you guys, but I like you guys. You're pretty good. Don't fart in bed. Everybody be safe. God bless. Take care.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.
Is BZ really gone? Or is BZ just waiting to get through the comments? With BZ, you never really know. BZ thinks BZ is like Bob Dole, talks to himself in the third person. You can never tell with BZ. Sometimes he just wraps up his show. Sometimes he thinks it's unfair if the people that wrote comments don't get to see their comments in chat. I'm like a Marvel movie. I've said this any number of times. Masara. Good night, twins. Good night, Chet. Good night, David. Good night, Godzilla. See, the fan says, is he doing a Marvel movie? You can never tell. Sometimes it ends and I just go away. Good night, Rodan. Rodan. Nice. Ghidra. Okay. I'm going away. All you guys go away. Go get some vodka or something. Bye.